There seems to be this idea that the voter ID laws that a lot of states are proposing that don't have any, um, they a lot of people feel that these are racist. Now, coming from one of the states, New Mexico, which doesn't have any voter ID laws, I gotta say that they're severely needed because the county clerk does not clear out records. There are actually people on the county clerk's database that haven't lived in New Mexico for over 5 years. There are actually it actually goes so far back that a lot of people's addresses are where businesses are now. Their houses have been bulldozered over. There's no remainder of their houses and their businesses now. I know this because I've worked polls, I've knocked doors, and I've called phones. All the numbers come from the county clerk's office. All the addresses come from the county clerk's office, and it's supposed to aim at people who have answered political polls before. A lot of these people no longer live in New Mexico. A lot of these phones are disconnected. The database hasn't been updated in years. In years. And the problem with that is, without voter ID, someone who knows that person's name and knows where they live and what district they go to can easily go in, say the name of that person, and vote for them. And it's extremely easy to do. It's been done countless times before, and the voter registration system as it is quite flawed too. It's to the point where there have been several cases where people's dogs have been registered to vote. Several people's dogs in New Mexico have been registered to vote. Now, this is the voter ID that comes when you register to vote in the state of New Mexico. As you can see, it's a thin piece of paper. It's almost disintegrated because it is a piece of paper that's extremely thin. Fortunately, they've updated it. It's plastic now. And if I wanted to get a new one, I just go to the county clerk's office, apply for a new one, and it's free. So I want to address the arguments about these voter ID laws being racist. How are they racist when on my state ID, everything is in English and Spanish? Every single thing on this is in English and Spanish. As you can English and Spanish. County Commission District, District de Comisión del Condado. Everything's in English and Spanish. So there is no discrepancy when it comes to the Spanish language for, Latino voters. And people say they can't get them. If you register to vote in the state of New Mexico, you get a voter ID. I know this because I was a registrar. And no matter where you register, who you register with, no matter what, you get an ID. It comes in the mail when they've accepted your registration to vote. And once you register to vote, you're in the database, and anyone can go to your district and actually just say your name and vote for you. That's a problem, because what's the point of this voter ID? The only point of this voter ID is telling me what district I can vote in. I can only vote in, the 87th district. I can only vote in for state representative for District 46. The Public Education Commission District is 10. That's the only valid reason for this card, is to know what districts you're in and where you exactly do you vote. Other than that, this card is trash. It means nothing. There's no point to it because you don't need it to check in. This card has no bearing on a voter at all, but it's free. Replacements are free. So I don't see how it's, going to cost anybody, like people say it does, money. It's free. If you're registered to vote, you have one. And unless you're saying that minorities are too stupid to put something in their wallet, I don't see how that's racist aside from you being racist. Because there is no way that you cannot have a voter ID in the state of New Mexico. There's no way you can be registered to vote and not have a voter ID. If you don't have a voter ID, you're not registered to vote. That's the simple truth. And as it goes for a driver's license or a state issued ID, it costs $10. $10 in the state of New Mexico. And if you can't afford $10, it's free. It's reimbursed for free. And even if you are an illegal immigrant, you can get a driver's license or a state issued ID. So there is really no bearing. There is no bars on getting one of those IDs. So can you please explain to me how either using the voter ID system, which Texas and other states use, or using the photo ID system, which states like Nebraska use, how that's racist? How is that racist? How is it a barrier to vote? If the voter ID makes absolutely no fucking sense, because if you're registered to vote, you have a voter ID, no matter who you are. Replacements are free, and you just go down to your county clerk's office to get one. So there's no way in hell that's racist. It's written in both English and Spanish, and I think you can even get one in Navajo, if you live in the Navajo Nation part of the state. So I don't see how that's racist. And as far as the photo ID goes, the photo ID, very few states use the photo ID. Most states use the voter ID. But the photo ID is $10. And if you can't afford $10, it's free. And anyone from the age of 16 and up can get one. So even if you're not even old enough to vote, you can get one. And all it requires is a certificate of birth, a birth certificate, and a proof of residency. That's it. It requires far less than a driver's license, and it's $10 to free. So the only way I can see people saying this is racist is if you honestly don't believe that a Latino individual or other minority is too stupid to keep something around with them. That's the only way I can see you justifying this as racist. And the only other thing I can think of is that you think that, they can't write. I honestly think that it's more racist to assume that minorities would have trouble with voter IDs than it is to assume that they won't. Samuel out.